Raise your hand if you're married. None of you are married. Raise your hand if you would like to be married to your baby's father. One. The rest of you who don't plan to get married, why don't you plan to get married? I'd like to know that.
You already have your child to think about, and then a whole family to care for. You know, it's a lot of responsibility. And then you don't want the commitments.
I wouldn't want no man holding me down because I think I can make it as a single parent.
But don't you think you might need help in raising that baby from a man?
Not really. I didn't have a father. My father wasn't in the home, so, you know, it really, male figures not substantially important in the family.
Really know if this is my last time, but what I know is I'm feeling just fine. My life is like a red carpet, and I'm feeling like the richest millionaire. This is my local mayor, and I'm the biggest star around here. What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Subscriber die trying. You see the thumbnail. So I needed this. This is your grandma. See, this was in, what, I want to say 86 or something like that. 80, 81, 86, something like that. The Vanishing Black Man documentary, right? Documentary, news story, whatever you want to call it. And I needed the clip for the women in the beginning because when you see these young ladies in their mid-20s, sometimes even late 20s, maybe early 30s, they give you the women back in the day and my grandmother, da, 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 da. And it's like, no. The ladies in that clip would be your grandmothers. You see what I'm saying? Like my grandmother would be the mother's mother. Your grandmother would be the mother. So when y'all come to these stories about what the men were and how terrible the men were, by the way, I'm gonna be objective about this. From that clip, right afterwards, they talked to the quote unquote father, and he said some things, and it's like he was like, you know, the girls want to have unprotected sex, and you know they want to have the kid, take care of the kid. That's on them. And and so that abandonment thing, I get what some of you people are saying. You know, I do, but we got to deal with this part first because these ladies intentionally had kids as a group of them. They intentionally had kids not wanting to be married. So these were your grandmothers not wanting to be married, who turned into your mothers who didn't want to be married, who turned into you who didn't want to be married. Because that's 86. That's 37 years ago. 37 years ago. Think about that. If that's 86. So the issue becomes, what did your grandmother teach you? Because when we talk about the welfare queen, everybody can't be a welfare queen. Let's just be honest, okay? But a lot of y'all can take on these, you know, that strong, independent, I don't need no man mentality. Sometimes it can also be looked at as, I don't want the responsibility of taking care, being a wife. I'll be a mother, kinda, but I don't want to be a wife. I want his money, yeah, but I don't want any responsibility towards him. I cook and maybe clean for the kids, but not the man. So when you see all of these people who are on purpose, like it was different. No, it wasn't different. It was not different. You know, y'all trying to go back to fences. Y'all trying to go back to raising in the sun. You get what I'm saying? But truth be told, that's your grandmother. And the reason why I say it, I think that's New Jersey, but that was prevalent in that time period. That, you know, some of y'all don't realize this. I was born in 79. My mother and father were like a senior and junior in high school when I was born, right? My mother got kicked out of high school for being pregnant. Okay? And they slowly started, you know, they slowly stopped kicking girls out of school when they were pregnant. Subsequent, like, I ain't gonna say not, right after that. In the coming years after 79. Right? So, when y'all are out here worried about, what's going on with these men, and these men aren't this and these men aren't that, and these ladies are so independent and killing it and this, that, and the third, y'all not taking into consideration, y'all not really y'all not really questioning your grandmother's origin story. That's the issue. See, she gonna tell you something brand new now to save face, but this was your grandmother back in the day. That was 86. 10 years later was Freaknik. Think about that. And don't think that some of them were 10, it was less than 10 years Freaknik. It was less than 10 years. But think about that. And think about the stories you heard subsequently after that. Because I remember laughing with my grandmother before she passed. And I think it was Sinbad, the comedian, talking, and he says, I don't know who this woman is. When I was a kid, she was not this nice. I think now she's just being nice because she old and she's trying to get into heaven. My grandmother just bust up laughing. She said, that's what we do. That's what we do. You mean when you're young, and then you get old, you're like, Lord, help me. I'm sorry, Lord. I miss her. Rest her soul. I miss both of my grandparents and my grandfathers. But that's a different generation. That's a completely different generation. So when y'all out here like, Grandma, your granddad did this and your granddad did that, you might want to ask, how old was Grandma when she had? I don't know. Could she have a bad, could Granddad have a bad grandma? Yeah. But could Grandma have been this kind of woman? Yeah, I can see that because if your grandma ain't really been with nobody ever or since, and she think it's all men, no, can't nobody get along with her. That's what that is. That's what that is. Some people, I'm not going to lie, some people are single as they get older because they have been good people and they just run into a bunch of clowns and they just say F it after a while. That does definitely exist. Definitely. But when you look at that clip, it was only one young lady that wanted to be married. One. So I want y'all to take into consideration that when your grandmother was young, she might have not wanted to be married. She might not have wanted to be in a relationship. She might not have wanted to have a couple. She might not have wanted the father to be involved. That ain't brand new. That's all I'm saying. 1986. I feel like Public Enemy. 1989. But anyway, take that part into consideration. Because the same rhetoric you see in 86, 2023, you hear the same thing. It's just morphed. So, like, share, subscribe, or die. Try and catch y'all on the next one. Peace. You ever been at the top of the universe? I'm gonna take it again.